Hello everyone and welcome to my CBS Soaps official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Tuesday, October 14, 2025. Today on Days of Our Lives, Tony gives Gabby bad news, Xander makes a confession in therapy, and Abe tries putting his foot down with Theo. Still in the pub, EJ wonders if Rachel will ever remember the shooting, but Marlena just says it's hard to tell, cutting herself short when Belle walks in. Susan pops in next to chime in with how much better Marlena is looking than when she passed out during the blackout. What? Belle's aghast. Is there any parent who doesn't keep health scares from their kids until afterwards? Marlena insists it was nothing, but Belle and Susan are worried about her. They won't let it go, so Marlena does the mature thing and runs off to one of her therapy sessions. Belle thanks Susan, then leaves, coldly turning down EJ's offer to join them for lunch. They sit down and EJ gets upset when he sees Johnny text his grandmother. That's when he finds out about the adoption mess, though Susan won't go into details. But she does promise that someday he'll mend things with Johnny. Xander and Sarah are taking Victoria for a stroll in the park while he works up the nerve to tell Sarah they have tightened back, but he's not sure it'll survive. They could lose everything. That's not a problem though, Sarah already knew and is fine with it. She makes doctor money after all. They then join hands and head to therapy with Marlena in her apartment. But before they get down to the actual session, they talk about Sophia, Brady, and Tate. That seems like crossing a doctor-patient line. But hey, all this talk of secrets makes Xander uncomfortable. They start with what they love about each other, which is how they love each other, before moving on to the issues they need to work on. Trust? They both say it in unison and Sarah explains what happened from the Philip forgery. That's when Xander says he has a confession. Who wants to bet it won't be the one he needs to make? Tony calls Theo in the square to tell him that DiMera is back in the family. Theo accepts Tony's offer to work for the company, which Abe overhears just enough to get excited. Until Theo tells him he'll be working with DiMera Enterprises. You most certainly will not. Theo insists Uncle Tony got the company back and wants it to do good things, with Theo leading the way. Abe's so upset he has to sit down. When it comes to your mother's family, you really are quite naive. Nah, Theo insists Chad and Uncle Tony are both different from Nano, EJ, and Kristen. He's doing this and Abe has to accept it. After Theo walks off, Belle finds Abe, notices that something's wrong and gets him to admit that he's afraid Theo made a pact with the devil. They sit and talk about Theo, with Belle lamenting Claire breaking his heart. There's only so much they can do with their kids. Belle assures Abe Theo will do right. Next, Tony summons Gabby to tell her the great news. DiMera is back in their hands. Then he tells her the not-so-great news. She's never running the company. Poor Gabby is about the only one who didn't see this coming. He claims she broke the morals clause of their contract by showing up with a gun to threaten EJ. Gabby handles it with grace. Wait, no, of course she doesn't. She threatens to take the entire company and sue him into bankruptcy. So Tony offers a consolation prize. If she doesn't fight, she can take Gabby chic and go her own way. It's not nothing, but she wants to know who's the next DiMera CEO. That's when Theo walks in and Tony introduces him as CEO. A DiMera scion by blood. Ah, nepotism. Theo's amused that Uncle Tony offered Gabby the position first. Gabby almost blurts out that Theo's autistic, which Theo calls her on. Eventually, Gabby takes Tony's offer and he leaves her and Theo alone. EJ spots Tony in the front hall with bags packed, ready to go on a cruise with Anna. And no, he doesn't need to stay in the office and run DiMera. Theo's the new CEO. Gabby tells Theo he's the wrong choice because he just doesn't have the experience. But he says that's his strength since everyone else failed at the job. Gabby apologizes for insulting him and he apologizes for Uncle Tony betraying her. Are you sure you can trust him? Gabby wonders. Xander tells Marlena that he broke into her home, wanting to hurt Brady back when he thought he was responsible for Sarah's accident. He felt Marlena should know in case she wants to drop treating him, but he's not getting out of therapy that easily. Marlena not giving up on him, and with that their time is up. After, 5 minutes? Let's hope they got a great rate. Tuesday, October 14, 2025. Confessions, Contracts, and Complications, Days of Our Lives. The day begins in the familiar hum of Salem's pub, where the smell of coffee mixes with tension. Marlena sits quietly, stirring her tea while EJ stands nearby, packing a man with too many secrets and not enough patience. "Do you think Rachel will ever remember the shooting?" he asks, his voice low but filled with that DiMera sharpness that even a whisper can't disguise. Marlena sighs, tilting her head with that practiced calm. "It's hard to say. Trauma affects everyone differently." She starts to elaborate but abruptly cuts herself off the moment Belle walks in, her expression immediately tightening. Susan, ever the chaotic angel of the DiMera clan, pops in like a surprise guest star at the worst possible time. "Oh, honey, you look so much better than when you passed out during the blackout," she chirps, smiling as if she hasn't just dropped a bomb. "What?" Belle gasps, her eyes wide. "You passed out, mother. Why didn't you say anything?" Marlena quickly waves it off. It was nothing, just exhaustion. But the more she tries to downplay it, the more Susan fusses and the more Belle's concern grows. The room practically hums with worry. Marlena, tired of being treated like porcelain, stands up abruptly. "I have a session to get to." "Of course you do," Belle mutters, half in frustration, half in admiration. As Marlena hurries out, Belle turns to Susan. "Thank you for telling me." EJ, sensing tension, steps in with his most polished charm. "If it's any comfort, Belle, I was just about to have lunch. Care to join me?" Belle's response is ice cold. "No, thank you." She turns on her heel, leaving EJ and Susan alone. EJ grits his teeth, muttering something under his breath about Brady women and their impossible pride, when his phone buzzes. A text from Johnny flashes on screen, something about the adoption mess. "The what?" EJ asks, reading aloud. His confusion morphs into alarm, then frustration. He looks at Susan. "What adoption mess?" Susan fidgets, glancing around like a guilty child. "Oh, I don't know if I should say." EJ leans forward. "Mother." She sighs dramatically. "Fine, but not all the details. Some things are better left for you to figure out on your own. But I will say this, someday you and Johnny will find your way back to each other. Love always does, my Elvis." EJ rubs his temples. "You say that like it's a prophecy." Susan beams. "Maybe it is." Meanwhile, in Salem Park, Xander and Sarah push baby Victoria's stroller under the warm autumn sun. For once, things seem peaceful. Xander, however, has the look of a man about to ruin it with the truth. "Sarah, there's something I need to tell you," he begins. She glances up, her brow lifting. "You mean besides the fact that you're walking around like a man about to confess to a crime?" He exhales, tightens back in our control. Sarah's eyes widen. "That's good news, isn't it?" "Maybe," Xander says. "If it doesn't implode. The company's hanging by a thread, and if it goes down, we lose everything." Sarah stops walking, looks at him squarely, and smiles. "Then we start over. You forget I make doctor money." He chuckles, his heart softening at her calm confidence. They clasp hands and keep walking, pushing Victoria along the winding path toward Marlena's apartment for their joint therapy session. When they arrive, Marlena greets them with her usual professionalism, though Sarah notices she's a little pale. "Rough morning?" she asks. Marlena waves it off. "Let's just say I'm more caffeinated than usual." Before they even get to therapy, conversation veers off course. Sarah brings up Sophia and Brady's latest argument, while Xander throws in a snarky comment about Tate's romantic drama. Marlena subtly tries to steer them back on track. "All right," she says with that therapist's patience that borders on saintly. "Let's begin by focusing on what you love about each other." Xander smirks. "That she hasn't left me yet." Sarah rolls her eyes. "That he tries sometimes." They laugh, the tension briefly fading. But when the subject turns to trust, things get heavier. "Trust," they both say at once, almost like a rehearsed line. Sarah nods. "It's the one thing we've never fully rebuilt, not after what happened with the Philip forgery." Marlena listens carefully, her gaze shifting between them. That's when Xander exhales and says quietly, "I have a confession." Sarah stiffens. "If this is about Titan." "It's not," he interrupts. "It's about you, about what I did." Marlena waits. "I broke into your home once," he admits, looking directly at her. "When I thought Brady was behind your accident, Sarah, I went there to confront him, maybe worse. but I stopped myself. Still, I figured you ought to know, Dr. Evans. The silence is deafening. Sarah looks horrified. Marlena, however, remains perfectly calm. Thank you for telling me, she says softly. But if you're hopping, I'll drop you as a patient. You're mistaken. Therapy doesn't end because of a confession. It begins there. Sarah exhales, visibly shaken but touched by Marlena's words. Now Marlena adds with a faint smile, unfortunately our time is up. Already, Xander mutters, that was like 5 minutes. Progress is measured in honesty, not minutes, Marlena replies with her signature grace. Elsewhere in Salem Square, Tony DiMera sits at an outdoor cafe, his phone pressed to his ear. Theo, my boy, I have splendid news. DiMera Enterprises is finally back where it belongs, in family hands. Theo beams through the phone. That's amazing, Uncle Tony. Does this mean? It means opportunity, Tony says, and I'd like you to join us. As fate would have it, Abe walks up just in time to overhear. His eyes light up at first until he hears Theo say, I'll be working for DiMera. Abe's face darkens instantly. You most certainly will not. Theo hangs up, turning toward his father with calm determination. Dad, Uncle Tony says they want to do things differently this time. They want to make the company a force for good. Abe shakes his head, almost laughing. When it comes to your mother's family, you're still so naive. The DiMeras don't do good, Theo. They pretend to. Theo folds his arms. Not all of them. Chad's proven himself, and Uncle Tony isn't like EJ or Kristen. He believes in me. Abe sighs, frustrated. Son, I'm proud you want to make a difference, but there are better ways than signing a deal with the devil. Theo's jaw tightens. This is my choice. And with that, he walks off, leaving Abe looking stricken. Moments later, Belle arrives, noticing the worry etched across Abe's face. You okay? She asks gently. He hesitates before admitting, Theo, just made what I fear might be a pact with the devil. Belle sits beside him, her voice soft. We can guide them, but we can't live their lives for them. You raised Theo to be good. He'll remember that even among the DiMeras. Abe smiles faintly. I hope you're right. At the DiMera office, Tony calls Gabby in. She enters with her usual mix of confidence and suspicion. What's this about? Tony smiles pleasantly. Good news, the company is back in the family. And the bad news, she asks dryly. You'll never run it again, he replies simply. Her jaw drops. Excuse me. Tony, ever the gentleman, tries to explain. You violated your morals clause when you pulled a gun on EJ. That was business, Gabby snaps, and I didn't even pull the trigger. Tony sighs. 10 is enough. Gabby glares. You can't fire me. I built this company. Tony leans forward. I'm not firing you. I'm giving you a choice. Walk away with Gabby chic, free and clear, or spend the next 5 years in court and lose everything. Her lips twitch. So this is your idea of generosity. Call it an opportunity, Tony says, standing. Besides, I already have a new CEO in mind. The door opens. Theo walks in, smiling nervously. Meet your replacement, Tony announces. Theo DiMera, CEO of DiMera Enterprises, a DiMera scion by blood. Gabby bursts out laughing. You're joking. I never joke about business, Tony says with a smirk. Theo offers his hand. Nice to meet you, Gabby. I've heard a lot about you. Yeah, I bet you have. Gabby looks ready to explode but bites her tongue. When Tony leaves, the tension between them softens slightly. You're not the right choice, Gabby finally says. You don't have the experience. Theo meets her gaze calmly. Maybe that's what this company needs, someone without baggage. Gabby studies him, then exhales. Maybe, but watch your back. Tony's loyalty shifts with the wind. Theo smiles faintly. So does yours. She smirks. Taché. Back at the DiMera mansion, EJ finds Tony in the hall with 2 suitcases. You're leaving, EJ demands. Tony smiles, ever suave. Anna and I are taking a cruise. Theo will handle things while we're away. EJ's eyes widen. Theo, the boy barely understands balance sheets. Tony pats his shoulder. Then he'll learn. Try not to destroy the company while I'm gone. EJ watches his brother leave, muttering under his breath. This family's going to drive me to madness. By evening, Salem glows under streetlights as the day winds down. Marlena sits in her office, staring out the window, thinking about her session with Xander. She knows confession is a beginning, not an end. Across town, Sarah and Xander walk home, Victoria asleep in her stroller. He slips his hand into hers. "Do you think I'll ever stop screwing up?" he asks quietly. Sarah smiles softly. "Maybe not, but you're learning, that's what matters." He nods grateful. And somewhere in the DiMera mansion, Theo sits at his new desk, staring at the family crest. He whispers to himself, "Let's see if a DiMera can finally do something right." The portrait of Stefano looms behind him, smiling, watching, waiting. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and don't miss any updates.